This man built an airline in Nigeria, an airline that carried his name into the skies. His planes flew across the country and beyond it. But years later, something strange happened. The airline disappeared. The plane stopped flying, yet the name survived. Not in the sky, not on an airport runway, but on the back of a motorcycle. Today, millions of Nigerians use that name without ever knowing where it came from. So how did the name of an airline end up becoming the name of a motorcycle? Why is a commercial motorcycle called Okada? Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why Nigerians call a commercial motorcycle an Okada? Think about it. Millions of people say the word every single day. You hear it in Lagos, in Benin, in Port Harcourt, across southern Nigeria. It's so common that it feels like motorcycles have always been called Okada. But here's the strange part. The word Okada had absolutely nothing to do with motorcycles. Not when it first appeared, not when it was first spoken, and certainly not when it first became famous. So where did it come from? Some people believe it's a Yoruba word. Others insist it's simply Nigerian pidgin. Some even think it's just the sound of a motorcycle engine. All of those explanations sound believable, but none of them tells the full story. To understand why millions of Nigerians still use this word today, we have to travel back to a completely different Nigeria. A Nigeria under military rule. A Nigeria where flying in an airplane was something only a tiny fraction of the population could dream of. In Edo State sits a town called Okada. Today, many people know it because of the famous university nearby. But long before that, it was simply the hometown of one of Nigeria's most influential businessmen, Chief Gabriel Igbinedion. By the early 1980s, Igbinedion had built a business empire that stretched across several industries. He invested in transportation, manufacturing, hospitality, education, and aviation. In 1983, he launched a private airline. He named it after his hometown, Okada Air. At the time, private airlines were still relatively uncommon in Nigeria, and Okada Air quickly became one of the country's most recognizable aviation brands. The airline expanded its fleet over the years, operating domestic and international routes and carrying pilgrims, business travelers, and charter passengers. For many Nigerians, the name Okada became associated with speed, movement, and air travel. But while one story was unfolding in the skies, another was unfolding on the ground. Nigeria entered one of the most difficult economic periods in its modern history. The Structural Adjustment Program introduced in the mid-1980s brought sweeping economic reforms. The naira lost value. Inflation increased. Jobs became harder to find. At the same time, cities such as Lagos were growing rapidly. Roads became congested. Public transport struggled to keep up. People needed a faster way to move through traffic. Motorcycle taxis already existed in some parts of Nigeria, where they were known by local names such as Achaba. But when they became increasingly popular in Lagos and other southern cities, something unexpected happened. People began calling them Okada. Exactly why the nickname caught on isn't documented in a single historical record, but the explanation repeated by journalists, linguists, and many historians is remarkably consistent. Like the airline, the motorcycles were known for getting people to their destination quickly. When buses sat in endless traffic, when taxis couldn't move, motorcycles slipped through narrow spaces and arrived much faster. People compared that speed to flying. The nickname stuck, and over time, it became the official name people used in everyday conversation. Ironically, many of the people riding these motorcycles could never have afforded a ticket on Okada Air itself. Yet the airline's name became permanently attached to one of Nigeria's most affordable forms of transport. As the years passed, the airline disappeared. Okada Air eventually ceased operations, but its name refused to disappear. Instead, it became stronger. Today, millions of motorcycle taxis across Nigeria are still called Okada, even though many riders have never heard of the airline that inspired the name. The word became so deeply rooted in Nigerian English that it was eventually recognized by the Oxford English Dictionary, reflecting how language evolves through everyday life and shared experience. That's what makes this story so fascinating. A company can disappear, an aircraft can be grounded, a business empire can change, but a single word can outlive them all. Every time someone shouts, Okada, on a Nigerian street, they're unknowingly preserving a piece of history, not through museums, not through textbooks, but through ordinary conversation. Language has a remarkable way of keeping history alive, even when people forget where the words came from. And Okada is proof that sometimes the greatest monuments to history aren't buildings or statues. Sometimes they're the words we speak without even thinking. But Okada isn't the only everyday African word hiding an unbelievable story. There's another name you've probably heard hundreds of times, and its origin is just as surprising. We'll uncover that story in the next episode of African Why. If you enjoyed this journey into African history, culture, and language, subscribe to African Why and turn on notifications. Because every question has a story, and we're just getting started.